Hugo, originally titled Hugo Cabaret, is directed by Martin Scorsese, and this is one of, if not his first attempt at a family feature. And basically what it's about is about a young boy who lives in a gigantic clock tower. He's an orphan. His parents have been deceased. His only living relatives are all dead. And he lives in this clock tower and sort of runs it, unbeknownst to most of the people who work there. And he is obsessed with trying to fix one of his father's last inventions. His father was a watchmaker, and so he's very good at learning how to deal with gears and sprockets and those kinds of things, and gizmos and gadgets. And to be able to get the parts to fix this one last invention, a sort of a gear punk robot called an automaton, he has to steal parts from a toy store that's run by a character played by Ben Kingsley. And Ben Kingsley catches him and says, and steals his father's construction directions for this automaton and says, if you want it back, you have to work for me for free. So he does. And while he's there, he meets Ben Kingsley's daughter, named Isabel, played by Chloe Moretz, doing a less than amazing British accent. And she decides that she's going to help him in his adventures and try and figure out what this automaton is about and the secrets behind it, as well as the secrets of her grandfather's life and life experience. The Ben Kingsley character named George, I won't spoil the last name in case you are a film nerd, has a kind of a secret past that he doesn't want to talk about. And the movie, though this plot element kind of sneaks up on you, goes further and further into the Ben Kingsley story, and really it ends up being all about him, which is actually an interesting notion about the movie. While the trailers aren't going to give it away, and they're not going to, it's not very well marketed, honestly. If you look at the trailer, it's a 3D movie, and they're marketing it as that. So they want you to come thinking it's a kind of a Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium kind of magic fantasy, and the movie is not that at all. There is a certain amount of whimsy and magical movie kind of stuff in there, and there's some fun stuff they do with the 3D, but the movie is a lot more grounded than that. It's sort of a different take on the Oliver Twist thing, but with this underlying message all about movies. Largely, it's a movie about movies. It's a movie about film and filmmaking, and it's a love letter to the silent film era. And that's something they're not going to tell you in the trailer. If you know anything about silent film, you're going to eat this up. It's wonderful. There's a lot of great stuff in there that kind of showing you how those old movies were made, the difference between how movies were made then and how they're made now, the difference between the type of cameras they had to use then and the type of cameras they use now. I believe Scorsese's trying to draw a connection between the use of 3D now and the use of filmmaking techniques of the silent era, which is an argument I don't completely buy. If you watch the show at all, you know that I'm not an apologist for 3D. But his love of movies comes through in this movie, and I think by the end of the movie, though the middle act, when you're not sure what's going on, does kind of drag, by the end of the movie, I had a very similar feeling that I got from movies like Be Kind, Rewind, where it really makes you love movies even more than you already did before going to it. And it makes you want to go on YouTube and just look up all of those cool silent movie shorts from the 20s and before. So I'd say definitely go see Hugo. The strange thing about this movie is that it's a nostalgia film for an era that I don't feel like most of the target demographic, being kids and families are going to really have that same kind of nostalgia for. I think if you're a movie nerd, you'll find enough here to like, not only being a Scorsese fan, but if you're a movie nerd for the golden age of filmmaking. But I don't know very many people under 12 years old who are that way. So I feel like a lot of kids might be kind of bored by this movie. So I would say it's made for a very specific audience that I'm not sure exists. But I'd say for us, if you think you might be in that specific audience, you're going to like it. And I think it's a very admirable film. So I give Hugo a B+. And that's our show for today.